But anyways, let's introduce our guest, and I'm really happy to have him on tonight, along with a special announcement he'll be making. So introducing Jim Bazzani, who is head of partnerships over at Caleb & Brown. This is my #1 OTC broker that I've been using for almost 4 years now. Jim has been in the crypto space since 2017, initially investing into Ethereum and developing an interest in its smart contract functionality while studying a law degree. He also comes from a tech consulting background, having previously worked at Accenture in their metaverse and digital assets division. So ladies and gents, I want to bring on my mate from Down Under. Jim, the floor is all yours.
Thanks for having me, Kevin. And yeah, thanks for everyone joining the call, and really looking forward to having a chat today. What I'll do is I'll go through these slides and I'll try and keep it quick. I don't want to bore you all with these slides, but essentially I'll detail a little bit about what we do at Caleb & Brown. But then very much want the conversation to be ticky, and I'm very open to answering any questions that you may have about our service, about the crypto markets in general. I'm keen to keep this conversation going. So a little bit about Caleb & Brown and what we do here. So at Caleb & Brown, we're very different to how you'd regularly buy crypto, sell, swap crypto in general. Usually it's done through an exchange or platforms that are purely transactional relationships. It's really just you and an interface. If you have an issue or you want someone to speak to, there's no one really there on the other end to provide support. We offer a completely different service and value proposition here at Caleb & Brown. So we're all about providing a personalized white glove service for every single sign up that comes through the door here. And what I mean by that is, as you can see there, every single person that creates an account with us gets their own dedicated broker. And that broker is really there to help hold the customer's hand through whatever part of the crypto journey you're in. So whether there are a few people on this call that are crypto beginners or still learning a lot about this space, maybe it's your first bull cycle coming up here, which is really exciting. Or maybe you're someone that's been in the space for a very long time, you're crypto native, you're someone that would still use our service and speak to their broker, but your needs and requirements are very different to someone who's at the beginner level, who maybe needs a general understanding of the market, what to invest in, how to custody assets, etc. We really look after both broad ends of the spectrum. And as you can see, there's a whole range of features that we have that really make us the best, as Kevin mentioned, OTC desk, and really personalized service that you'll get through us. So that's, best execution. We pull through liquidity from a whole range of different sources to ensure you get the best rate possible. Brokers are experienced. So Andrew here has been in the crypto space for a really long time. He's one of our senior brokers. Everyone at Caleb & Brown has been in the crypto space for their own personal capacity as well. So they are able to provide perspective of, where are we at in this 4-year cycle? What are some of the narratives that we're seeing in this space currently? And really help inform your decision-making when it comes to investing in crypto. We create research reports for our clients. We have newsletters that go out each week that give you a really summarized view of the markets, and really help educate our clients, along with ensuring that they're making the best investment decisions possible. I'll just quickly touch on as well that we have a platform as well. So yes, you can trade through your broker and do everything through a broker. A lot of our clients like to email their broker for any trades they'd like to get done. We also have a really user-friendly, and in my opinion, a really good UX designed platform as well, where you can simply come onto the Caleb & Brown portal and make trades yourself as well. So as I mentioned here, there's a whole range of benefits that your own specific broker will provide to you. So whether that's just around their knowledge, providing education, we help clients manage risks. So we'll talk through exit strategies, what we're currently seeing in both the crypto markets, but also the broader macroeconomic factors as well, and how that may impact your decisions with your portfolio. We have a trusted support team. So Cass here is one of the leaders in our support team. We have a 24/7 support team that really looks after anyone that may have issues around, whether it's getting their account set up, whether it's unfortunately what we're seeing a lot of recently around scams and phishing links, really helping clients troubleshoot those potential issues. And as it says there, we're available 24/7. There's always someone managing a broker's inbox. So if for whatever reason within Australia, it's the middle of the night and something happens, you need to get a trade done or you need to contact your broker, there we have people in the US, we have people working night shifts to ensure that you're always looked after. Why our clients love us, and this is a key part of what we do and why our business model is very different to most others in this space. And that's the ability to actually call your broker or email them and speak to them whenever you like. That's really valuable in times of demand that we're currently seeing, where you may be experiencing FOMO of missing out on a certain asset. Having that experienced expert opinion there to actually speak to about specific assets is really valuable. And that's really quite different to what you'll experience in pretty much any other platform that you try to invest in. It's very much you versus the world. You don't really have anyone else there to help guide you or even assist you in getting a trade done or exit. It's really valuable to have that broker there when you need. We help our clients buy, sell, and swap over, I think it'd probably be 350 assets now. And it's really valuable that you can actually request the specific asset through your broker. I know that Kevin reached out to me personally the other week about an asset called Peak. So having that contact there, if there's an asset that you think we should list, we'll always go through the due diligence process to be able to list it for you. One of the other really big benefits about Caleb & Brown as well is that we'll actually store your assets for you, and we'll do so through cold storage. So unfortunately, we've seen over the years through exchanges and other platforms where you keep your assets on there thinking that they're safe, and unfortunately in the back end, they're actually on trading that, they're mingling your assets, rehypothecating it, etc. With us, we partner with Fireblocks, and clients that hold their assets with us, they literally just sit in cold storage. They're vaulted away and secure until the client decides to make a trade or move them out. We have one transparent flat fee, which I'll go into more detail probably in the Q&A section. But again, one of the things that we see on a lot of other platforms is that they may advertise their small transaction fee, but then they'll actually charge you things like spread, slippage, which have become really prevalent in times of demand like now. So we just charge one transparent flat fee, and that's the only fee that we charge. And I'll touch on that later in the Q&A, as I'm sure it'll come up. And then, yeah, in the back end, we have an operations team that will manually do trades on behalf of clients. This is super valuable for if you're more interested in the altcoin space or even the meme coin space, where you're investing in assets that don't have a ton of liquidity compared to, say, the majors of Bitcoin and ETH. It's really important that you can, at times, maybe trade slice your deals so you're not moving the market too much and that you're getting the best rate possible. We have an experienced team of traders here that will really manage your trades for you, especially in that scenario. And then, yeah, this is just really how the portal looks like, as I mentioned before. As you'll see here, it's quite different. I mean, it's quite similar in a lot of ways to what you'll see with other exchanges, but you'll actually have your broker that will be there in the top left of your portal. That'll have their details for you to contact and reach out to whenever you need. And then there's a whole range of features within the portal itself that you can have a play around with. We allow for DCAing, for trading, a whole range of features that you'll see there. As I mentioned before as well, so we really value actually educating our clients. That's probably one of the biggest things and about our business is that, yes, we want to safely onboard people and ensure that they make great investment decisions, but they're also way more educated when they leave us at the end of the day. I mean, hopefully they never leave us, but you know what I mean? When they first come in, we actually are able to provide really quality research reports, and our brokers as well will do market deep dives. So our CCO, Jake, did one recently about XRP and obviously the positive momentum of that, and really talking through the market factors of that. So not only do you get that broker with you as well, you also get really valuable content and insights through our reports and through the videos that we'll post on our YouTube and other platforms. And this last part, this is the last slide. I just want to emphasize how long this business has been around, especially in the crypto space. It's quite a strong feat. So the business has been around since 2016. We have over 37,000 clients now. So we're not looking for 1 million clients and users like the other big exchanges. We provide an institutional grade, high level support that, yes, we try and make accessible to all, but we're not looking for 1 million clients. We're looking for, the top tier. We were looking for people that are looking to get into crypto and want to get a start, and we want to provide them with the best service possible. We have offices in Australia, and soon to be, we have a presence in the US. So we have a lot of our employees that work in the US, but we'll soon have an office in the US as well. So that's really it. I wanted to fly through that because I really just wanted to answer any questions that everyone has. But hopefully that gives you a quick rundown on what we do. But yeah, happy to dive into more of the details now as well.
Do you want to go over the announcement as well, and then we can kick off the Q&A?
Absolutely, yeah. So as part of this Q&A and webinar, we wanted to announce that anyone that's within the Kevin Cage community will have a discount on XRP assets over the next few weeks, which is really exciting. We don't usually run these discount code promotions, but Kevin's been a really valued partner of our business for a very long time, and we really want to make sure that his community is really well looked after. So for the next couple of weeks, there'll be a 1% discount on any XRP trades that you do through us, whether that's a buy, sell, or swap. That's an offer that will be going for the next 2 weeks. You need to make sure that you're within the Kevin Cage community, which essentially means that you've either signed up through his link, or you have your link attributed to his code. So I'll put the code in the chat after this. If you're already an existing client and want to make sure that you fall under the Kevin Cage code, you can reach out to your broker and ensure that you're attributed to it, or within your own Caleb & Brown account. Within the settings section, there's a referral section. You can go in there and just type in Kevin Cage, no caps and no dashes, and just click accept. And then you'll have access to the 1% discount for the next 2 weeks. So yeah, very exciting. I'm happy to answer any other questions that everyone has, but yeah, looking forward to meeting with you all and providing you support through Caleb & Brown.
Awesome, thank you. Any questions, guys? If it's a ghost town, I'll step in. I got a couple bullet points.
This is Ronnie. I've got a question.
Hey, Ronnie.
Hey, can you compare what if I understand correctly, the fees that are involved are mainly when you're selling, not purchasing, not swapping. And can you compare that to, say, Uphold, what their normal fees are involving the spread and things like that? Because I'm assuming you guys have some kind of research to compare yours to theirs.
Yeah, so I'll go through our fee structure. I can't speak to Uphold personally. I know that they have additional fees on top of what we charge, but I'll just speak to what our fee structure is, and then we can have a chat about why that's a big difference. So our fee structure is we charge 3.5% on just buys, sells, and swaps. So whether you're buying crypto, selling it, or swapping between two crypto assets, that's the only fee that we charge. So as I mentioned before, there's no fee to speak to your broker, so you can speak to your broker whenever you like. There's no hidden costs like spreads and slippage. They're some of the costs that you'll incur on a whole range of other platforms. I can't speak to Uphold specifically, but I think that their fee structure is inclusive of spreads and slippage. But again, I couldn't fully confirm that. We also don't charge withdrawal fees, which is really prevalent on most other exchanges. So when it comes time to actually off-ramp into your bank account, we won't charge you any fee to do that. We also have no limit. So say you want to withdraw its size, you'll be able to do that all within the one transaction. Whereas what we're starting to see with a whole lot of other platforms in periods of high demand is they'll actually restrict you to a certain amount each day, which is quite restrictive when it comes to actually off-ramping and getting it into your bank account. If you need to get something done quickly, that's where we come in and where it's really valuable. But as I mentioned, we don't charge anything in terms of the spread and slippage. It's just purely on buys, sells, and swaps. That's the only fee that we'll charge.
All right, so that's a little different than what I thought. I thought you guys only charged on your sells. So is this a new thing, or has it always been that way? And maybe my friend who's just signing up with you was he didn't understand it right.
Yeah, that's always been the case. So it's always just been on buys, sells, and swaps. As I mentioned, that's how it's always been.
All right, thank you.
No worries.
Yeah, one thing I'd liked with larger transactions is you guys find the best rate, and I can talk to my broker and you can fill that order over time. I have used other exchanges doing, larger purchases, whether it's 10K, 50K, and I was eaten alive. So I like the slow and steady approach filling that order. I've done large orders with Bitrue, and it took 3 days to fill. So I'm happy. I do want you guys to, or I want you to speak about maybe some of the partnerships or liquidity providers and market makers you leverage. I don't know if you still have, a dozen or so.
Yeah, absolutely. So I can't go into the specifics of who they actually are, but you're correct that we leverage a whole range of liquidity providers, OTC desks. Sometimes we'll leverage actually DEX and centralized exchanges as well. But ultimately, we'll pull liquidity from a whole range of different avenues to ensure that as a client, you're getting the best rate possible, whether that's purchasing the asset, or as you mentioned, Kevin, when it comes time to sell, that's really valuable when it's an asset that doesn't have a ton of liquidity in the market, or it's not a huge market capped asset. As you mentioned, a lot of the time on other platforms, if you try and execute that trade at size, it'll just automatically execute and you'll just get the rate that they give you. And if it's a big transaction for a lower liquidity asset, you'll actually incur significant slippage. You'll actually move the market negatively, which will reduce the best rate that you can possibly get. Whereas, as you mentioned, if it's a specific scenario where you need to get a trade done, that's where you would speak to your broker. Your broker will be able to work with our operations team to actually trade slice the deal, which is what Kevin means, where yes, it takes a little longer to get the trade done, but we'll do it in batches to ensure that you get the best rate possible. And then you can withdraw that all into your bank account if, say, you wanted to off ramp. So that's really valuable that we aren't a market maker. So it means that we don't have a single point of failure when it comes to our liquidity. It means we can pull them from a whole range of different avenues, which is really valuable, especially in times of demand like now, where we're starting to see assets flying. Everyone wants to buy specific tokens. That's where you'll start to see differences in the spread as well between what you purchase it at and then what you eventually sell it at as well.
Appreciate it. Yeah, for anybody that doesn't have an account, what I like also is they offer 3FA for withdrawals. So like anytime I verify a cold storage wallet that I have with them, I'm good to go. You can always request a phone call. I like that security because I had a buddy named Kenny. He was on the baseball team in college and his dad just lost probably over 40, 50 grand in XRP due to a phishing scam with Uphold. So I'm not really concerned falling for that with Caleb and Brown.
Yeah. I mean, security, unfortunately, during periods of a bull market like now, that's obviously where assets increase in price, and that's where nefarious actors, scammers start to increase their presence in the space. And we're certainly starting to see a big uptick in our clients reaching out about, scams that they've been approached by. So as you mentioned, as a business right now, we've put in place an extra security check to actually call a client when we get a withdrawal request. I know it seems a little tedious from the client's perspective, but ultimately it's to protect our clients. And so we'll ask a couple of security questions before we facilitate a withdrawal, because we've had a few instances, say, for example, where someone gets their email hacked or their SIM gets swapped. And so that individual then reaches out pretending to be our client, but we've been able to actually safely protect those clients' assets and ensure that those don't leave their platform because we've called them and seen that it actually wasn't them requesting that withdrawal. So it's really valuable and necessary as a business. It's something that we really ensure that our clients' assets are safe at all times.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I read new emails on a weekly basis of somebody falling for a scam, unfortunately. So no, I always appreciate you guys.
Hey, this is Paul. I had a super quick question. So your liquidity providers, obviously, you don't name them, which is normal and acceptable. So this is kind of like so you have a bunch of people who are they locking tokens with you guys for basically locked liquidity? So you have your own liquidity in order to trade in and out of ranges with people.
Yeah, correct. So we leverage our own liquidity when it comes to facilitating trades. We essentially have partnerships with these desks and OTC desks and liquidity pools. So we'll at times hold our own liquidity on them to sufficiently get a trade done quickly. But a lot of the time we'll actually leverage our own liquidity to get the trade done for clients. And that's usually how it works. Again, it depends on the liquidity provider and how it operates. But operationally, it's something that we've built partnerships with throughout our time since 2016. And it's quite a seamless process and one that ensures that we can get the best rate as quickly as possible for our clients.
Nice. And then being a liquidity provider, those people probably just get, say, like a small percentage of each trade, which is usually the case in any sort of liquidity pool. On any sort of platform where a provider has something technically locked up and they're in a liquidity pool. So they're trading the range, they're allowing for liquidity. So they get a small percentage. And I mean, does this make sense? Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, from our end as well, like that's where we would probably incur spread on our end, but we don't then on charge that to the client, for example. So whatever the fee rate is that we pay them to access that liquidity, for example, we then don't on charge that onto the client. That's just something that we incur as a business, and something that we really value in terms of not charging that onto the client, because that can be dynamically changing depending on the demand and the asset as well.
No, I think that's really cool. I was just wanted to make sure I was clear on that, because that's a very valued, that's a very valued thing that you guys are doing in that case, because liquidity pools, they can range anywhere from 0.3% to 1%, and then slippage and everything like that. Like eventually you just end up getting taken advantage of, if it's not like every trade, maybe every 20 trades or something like that. So very valuable. Thank you.
No worries. And yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that, as I've probably reiterated a couple of times throughout this call, especially in a time like now where we're in a bull market where there's significant demand, that's where you start to see certain platforms impose dynamic spreads where it'll actually, the spread will actually vary depending on the demand. So it is something to be conscious of. I know that people on this call have used other exchanges or continue to do so. I also at times use them as well. It's really important to be aware of what they're actually charging the back end, both from a slippage perspective and a spread perspective, because it won't be as clear as probably just the transaction fee. So that's something to just very much be conscious of.
Yeah, there's a couple exchanges I could name, but I'm not gonna.
I have a friend who enjoys investing a decent amount of money in this space, and he might be quite interested. He's also very interested in liquidity pools and being able to be a provider, because that is kind of long-term things where you can just park it, you can let it be, and kind of just play that range and allow somebody else to do something for you. So he might be interested. He's not in here, but I know him as a person in real life, so I might get him a little bit more information about Caleb and Brown.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, what I'll do at the end of this call is I'll put my email address in the chat, and feel free for him to personally reach out, or you can reach out on his behalf. I'll leave my email address there, and you can reach out if you like.
Super, thank you, appreciate it. I keep disconnecting instead of turning off my mic.
That's okay. That's all right. Any other questions?
This is Ronnie again. Yeah, Ronnie,
Hey, Ronnie.
An unrelated question. Was that Paul, the DGen who can't speak English but just did?
Yeah, that's me, brother.
Okay.
I mean, I can speak DGen to you if you'd really like.
It's okay.
No, it's okay. Continue on, you guys.
Is there such a thing as a limit order? Or do I just contact the when it reaches this price, I want to take this action?
Yeah, so you can set up limit orders and target orders within the platform, and you can do so through your broker as well. We often talk to our clients, and the brokers will talk about exit strategies. So whether that's just selling all at a specific price, or maybe you want to tranche it at specific prices. So XRP, for example, selling at $3, then you set an amount for $3.15. There's a whole range of different ways that you can sell out of your position. And that's something that your broker can assist you with in talking about, okay, what's your exit strategy look like? Where do you see the market in, say, 6 months' time and 12 months' time? Obviously, each client's perspective is quite different, and that's where it's really valuable to have your broker, because they'll have the context about you specifically. But certainly, you can either set up orders yourself, or you can just email your broker or execute the trade yourself when you'd like on the platform.
So your platform that you speak of, this is kind of intriguing. Is this something that you have to be a member of Caleb and Brown and trade with your broker to be able to access, or is this a completely different UI that you guys have created where anybody can go and actually use this?
Yeah, great question, Paul. So our platform is only tied to people that sign up and create an account with Calvin Brown. What I will say for anyone on this call is that you aren't required to capital up front or move your assets before you get access to both the portal and a broker. So you can create an account for free today. You can sign up, you'll get access to a broker that you could speak to before ever having to make a transaction. You can also just sign up and have a play around and look at the portal yourself. So it takes less than 5 minutes to sign up and create an account. In order to verify and then actually trade, we do require you to KYC through us. It's just a requirement to operate as a business, a cryptocurrency brokerage. But it's quite a seamless process to get access to the portal today, Paul. So easy to get started. And then what I'll mention as well is in terms of actually then making a trade, we have a 500 USD trade minimum. And that's the only, I guess, requirement that we have on our end in terms of making trades. But if, say, you wanted to move some of your assets from a hardware wallet or a different exchange to Calvin Brown, you can do so and just transfer those assets without obviously having to have made a trade in that instance. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, for the majority of it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't mind sharing my email in our mod chat, and I'd love to get any more details you guys have. If Kevin can shoot it over, and I might be able to share it with a few people that might be quite interested in this. They may not even know that Caleb and Brown exists.
Perfect. Sounds good. Yeah, I'll put my email in the chat as well.
This is Ronnie again with another question. You skillfully avoided talking about what the fees were for one of your competitors, meaning Uphold, but I'm curious if you have relative percentage differences between other platforms that you would compare yours to. For those of us that don't understand the full impact that spread has and different fees that sort of show up at the last minute.
Yeah, Ronnie, that's something that our brokers can definitely assist you with in terms of providing that education and information around the differences that you may be experiencing on other platforms. The reason I'm hesitant to provide, say, a flat number on this call or even the broker, on a call with you yourself is it's very dependent on the asset, the size that you're trading at, and where we are in the market. But certainly in terms of if you would require or would like more education around what are those fees and how they may apply, that's definitely something that your broker can assist you with in terms of doing that comparison. Again, as I mentioned, you can sign up and create an account today. And as part of your consultation, you can get them to provide that information. Again, that speaks to the personalized service where some people do use platforms and want to know what those differences are between our fee structure and theirs. That's something that your broker can assist you with for sure.
Summarize, make sure I understand it. If I'm interested, I can get a broker and have a discussion and compare percentage fees and things like that before I actually set up an account.
Yeah, so you have to create an account, which is just a simple sign-up process. It takes you less than 5 minutes, and then you'll actually get access to a broker, and you can reach out and speak to them. There's no upfront cost for you to make an account, but obviously we require you to create an account to then tie you to a broker because essentially you need to log in to have access to a broker. But you ultimately don't need to upfront any cost to speak through them and get a consultation call.
Great. Yeah, that's the question, was any upfront costs, and it sounds like there are not any, so that's good news. Thank you.
Yep. No worries.
Yeah, Ronnie, also, because I think I know what you were asking earlier is like wanting to see a side-by-side, a visual of Caleb and Brown versus Uphold or KuCoin or Coinbase. That enters a gray area, legally speaking.
Yeah, totally fine. I'm good with talking to someone about that if that's information they can give one-on-one versus what we're doing right now. Sounds like it is.
Yeah, and something else that I'll mention as well as part of the sign-up process is that you can sign up as just an individual. So obviously when you go through exchanges or other platforms, you're just acting as an individual in the most part. We also allow our clients to trade through LLCs or trusts. So myself personally, I have a personal individual Caleb and Brown account. where, I may degen into certain tokens or play at a bit more of a higher risk level. But then I also have set up a family trust with Caleb and Brown as well, where I'm investing on behalf of my family as a beneficiary and director of the trust. And then I can also trade through the trust as well and invest in the specific assets when I trade through for my family as well. So it's great to have that flexibility. I'd say there's a very big majority of people within our business that trade through their LLC as well, which has its benefits. So it's good to have that flexibility. If you have an LLC that you actually want to get crypto holdings through, you can set that up through us as well.
Actually have a pastor of the church I attend who's in process of setting up a personal account with you guys and a corporate account, and I'm going to be the manager of the trading for the corporate. And I was curious if, just a quick follow-up on that, is there a different structure as far as rates are concerned for corporate accounts versus personal?
No difference at all. So it's exactly the same fee structure, regardless of whether you're an individual, whether you're an LLC or a trust. As I mentioned, that flat fee, transparent fee is the same throughout any account type.
Still there, Ronnie? All good?
Yeah, I'm sorry if I was making noise. I'm driving at the same time. Sorry.
Let's see. Did you already touch on any, I guess, compliance or certifications? I don't think you guys have ever been hacked. I don't know if you went over that in the presentation since 2016.
Yeah, no, I didn't go through the presentation. It's probably not the best way to start things off, but yeah, you're exactly right. We have never been hacked as a business. As I mentioned, we take security and protocols very seriously. As an entity since 2016 and even today, I'd say a vast majority of our clients are based in the US, and our head of compliance and compliance team is US based. So we're constantly working on a state-by-state basis to ensure we have and continue to have the appropriate licenses to operate in the US. Obviously, things are probably going to start to change more and more now with Trump's inauguration and hopefully, more pro-crypto legislation, but also just regulatory clarity as well. But yeah, certainly our compliance team is working incredibly hard for each state as they require different licensing. But yeah, as a business, we've never had issues in terms of compromisations. Fireblocks, as I mentioned before, is our custodial provider. They're the preeminent institutional custodial service in this space. They've never had, touch wood, any compromisation on their end as well. But even if they did, they have the insurance policies in place to ensure that clients' assets are protected. One other thing I'll mention is that, I may have mentioned this within the presentation, is that we just hold all of our clients' assets one for one. It's held in cold storage. It's all verifiable on chain. So you can actually see where your assets are held on chain. And we don't commingle assets. We're not earning yields on them. We literally just store them in cold storage and they just sit there for when the time comes for the client to trade, which is really valuable and a great peace of mind for our clients to ensure that their assets are safe and they're only to be used whenever they're ready to use them, and that there's no rehypothecation of assets. So we aren't taking your assets, mingling them with others, trading them around. It's the exact same assets that you transferred or bought with us at the start is the same that will be there whenever you decide to make a decision with them. I think that's really important to emphasize and make clear on this call. And that's a really big value add and quite different to what you see with most other platforms in this space.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I pretty much recommend everybody to at least have an account, even if you just use it as a backup plan during a bull run. What I like compared to other exchanges or order books is, say an asset is 50 cents. You can't necessarily go that low in the order book and set a limit buy. But with Caleb and Brown, I can set one in case it does crash 90% as a Hail Mary limit buy. Or I can do I have one active really high limit sell for one as well. So I like the ability to access, higher and lower prices and kind of set and forget.
Yeah, 100%, Kevin. And people will use Caleb Brown for different things, right? Some people will hold all of their crypto with us and do their trades with us. Some people will just use us as an execution layer and hold their own assets on a hardware wallet, for example. That's totally fine. And we support whatever circumstances and within the crypto space our clients want to do. Some people will literally just use us and then want to use us in the bull market for an off ramp, for example. So Everyone has different ways they use CMB. There's no hard and fast rule. We don't require you to hold, say 100% of your assets with us. So I'm the perfect example of that. I hold a large portion of my assets with Calvin Brown, but I also have assets I hold in a hardware wallet as well. So it's totally up to you and how you want to use the service. But ultimately, we will help you either buy, sell, and swap, safely store, and then when it comes time to off-ramp, we'll help do that as well. Ronnie, did you have a question? I see.
Ronnie again. Sorry.
Yeah. No worries.
Yeah. It has to do with speed of execution. So I'd like to think that I'm always able to plan ahead of time, but sometimes I may not be able to. So I'm wondering, I imagine using your platform is going to be the fastest way to execute. But is there, what kind of turnaround to pull out of your cold storage and actually do the execution is involved? What kind of time frame?
Yeah, so I'd say, within minutes, right? Like as soon as you put in a request either through the portal for a trade to get done, that'll get processed as quickly as possible and the best rate we can get for you. In terms of when you mentioned maybe you don't have time to get a trade done, or maybe you don't even have time to jump onto your portal, that's where it's really valuable to have the other method of going through your broker. So you mentioned, Ronnie, that you're driving right now. If you pulled over and just quickly emailed your broker to say, hey, I would like to purchase XRP, please buy, 500 USD worth that's already in your account. You just email that to your broker. They'll then execute the trade, and our operations team will facilitate that trade for you. So it allows you to quickly get trades done if for whatever reason you can't access the portal. But yeah, most trades will be done quite instantly, I would say.
As a follow-up, sorry if I'm doing the majority of the questions, but I got questions.
That's good. It's good.
When I'm on a platform and I want to get an address for a particular asset, I usually have to go through something if I've never used that asset on that platform. If I, for example, have a bunch of different coins that are on my hard wallet and I'm using Caleb & Brown as my off-ramp, do I get access to what my addresses would be for those ahead of time, or is that something that happens when I send the asset to you guys? Hopefully that makes sense.
So, yeah, I think I see what you're saying. So within your Caleb & Brown portal, say you hold, let's use the example of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP. Within your Caleb & Brown account, you'll have your Bitcoin specific wallet address, you'll have your ETH wallet address, and you'll have your XRP wallet address. So you can actually come into the portal today and see that wallet address. And then if you would wanted to transfer those assets from your hardware wallet into your Caleb & Brown account, you could do that pretty seamlessly, just moving those assets with those addresses. Again, if it's something that you're not super comfortable with or you're doing it at size, that's where your broker can actually assist you and help you in terms of transferring those assets over. Of course, we always recommend that regardless of whether it's a large amount or a small amount, we always recommend doing a small test transaction as well, just to ensure that everything goes through safely. But yeah, ultimately your wallet addresses are viewable within your Caleb & Brown portal, if that makes sense.
Fantastic. That was my question. And then you said $500 minimum buy, sell, or swap.
Yeah, so 500 USD minimum to make a trade, essentially, whether that's a buy, sell, or swap. But say in the example that you just gave, where you're actually just moving assets from a hardware wallet to Caleb & Brown, there's no minimum amount for that. There's no requirement to, or no cost to do that. So it's just on the trade.
I would assume if I had a weird asset and I only had 400 of them, or $400 worth, and I was just trying to clear it out, you'd let me clear that out if that was like the only trade.
Of course, yeah, everything's negotiable, right? At the end of the day, we want to make sure that you're getting the best service possible. And it has to be obviously an asset that we list and hold, but say you have $400 worth, you're trying to get the trade done, obviously we'll make exceptions. We usually allow for clients to make test trade transactions as well, right? So say you're a new client of ours and you just want to trial the platform for the first time, we'll allow clients to do a $20 trade or a $30 trade just to see how it all operates. But in most scenarios, it is the 500 USD trade minimum.
Regardless of using a broker or the app, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
No worries.
So this makes good sense for even just simple off ramping. If you're supporting all the major chains, and if somebody had some goofy stuff that they're playing with on a hot wallet or an online wallet or anything like that, they can easily just swap out to the main chain and then send it straight to Caleb and Brown, and that way it's safe and ready for off ramp or ready to be put into something else. Even if you guys.
Yeah, correct. So in that scenario, you would have to, let's just say it's an asset that we don't currently list. You would need to sell that into, say, USDC or it would probably be USDC, and then you could move that to Caleb Brown and off ramp it. If it is the scenario where we hold the asset as well, that's fine. That's where you'd be able to transfer that asset to Caleb Brown, do the trade there, and then off ramp. But ultimately, we can't sell out of an asset if we don't list it, if that makes sense. We won't even accept you to be able to transfer it.
Right, it does make sense. So say like it was, if it was a ERC20 token, you can instantly take that and transfer it into Ethereum and then move it to Caleb and Brown if that initial asset was not technically
correct.
supported.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But what you'll find is that we list over 350 assets, and we try and list the assets that our clients have significant demand for or holdings in. Peak was an example that Kevin requested, and we did our due diligence as an operations team, and it ended up being an asset that we felt safe enough for our clients to buy, sell, and swap into, and we've ended up listing it. So we go through quite a thorough process of reviewing all tokens. So if there's ever a token that you hold that you'd like us to do a review and see if we can list it, that's where you'd either reach out to your broker or you'd reach out to Kevin, and Kevin would talk to me and we'd go through the process of seeing whether we can list it. Ultimately, we want to list as many as we can, but we don't want to list any that put our customers at risk. Not necessarily from the perspective of whether the asset dumps or goes down in price. Obviously, that is a consideration for us, but it's more so whether there's enough liquidity in the market for when the time comes to actually sell out of it, can you do so sufficiently? There's nothing more worse than having a large position in an asset that you can't actually sell out of, or that you can't sell out of without incurring significant slippage. So there's a lot of factors that will go into whether we list an asset, but we'll certainly always go through that process of reviewing it for our clients.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Very well answered, by the way.
Jim, you don't mind if I throw your email in the YouTube recording?
Do not mind at all. Yeah, as I mentioned, I'm happy to answer any other questions, not only for the people that are live in this chat now, but if anyone's watching post this call and there's maybe a question that we didn't touch on that you want answers on, please feel free to reach out to myself. I'm happy to answer any questions about what we do. Even if it's someone on this call that is maybe too shy to ask the question, please feel free to reach out to me. I'll try and get back to you as quickly as possible. Because there is a lot to go through as what we do and as a business. One other thing I'll quickly touch on, Kevin, as well, that I maybe didn't raise, is that when it comes to the off-ramp stage, so say you're at the end of your time in the crypto space, or maybe you just want to take profits and move them to a bank account, we have major partnerships with the main banks around the world. And we help facilitate that process for you. So we'll work with your domestic US bank, for example. We have partnerships with banks all across the US to ensure that that withdrawal process is as seamless as possible. As I mentioned before, we won't incur you with any withdrawal fees or limits. So say you want to sell out of a big profit that you've made, we'll actually try and do that on the day. And obviously then it's up to the banks in terms of how long it takes for them to facilitate it. But that's where your broker really is valuable, because we'll actually help you through that process, right? Which is really important when it comes to actually taking profits at the end of the day in the crypto space.
Yeah, I've done wires in both directions, funding and withdrawing, and it's seamless. I like crypto more, but yeah.
Yeah.
So quick question, which is totally out from left field. is do you guys offer any staking rewards or anything like that for assets that are held in your environment?
Yeah, not left field at all, Ronnie. That's a question we probably get daily. So at this stage, no. So it's a little bit of a trade-off right now in terms of offering a cold storage solution and then eating your cake and having your cake and eating it too in terms of yield. We are looking through it, and it's something that as a business we're constantly reviewing in terms of can we offer a yield for our clients, but do so in a really safe manner. A lot of what we're seeing in the DeFi space is still quite nascent, especially for certain chains. So the reason I say that is we have a lot of XRP clients that now we're starting to see the Ripple ledger start to offer DeFi protocols and applications to earn yield on your XRP. So we have a lot of people requesting that, but it's still very early days. I mean, as a business, we want to make sure that, yes, we can offer yields, but we can offer and do so in a really safe manner. We've seen in the past with Celsius, BlockFi, these protocols that offered yields, but it turned out it actually wasn't safe for your underlying assets to do so. So yes, what I would say is at this stage we don't, but staking is something that probably within the future we will offer, but we'll only do so when it's 100% safe for our clients to do so.
Yeah, I liked his clip that I shared related to, profit taking and not having to be binary, gradually entering, gradually exiting. It's a good reminder.
100%. I mean, I'm guilty of that as well, right? When we think about exiting, it's either do I sell 100% of my position or do I hold all of it, And it's really not a binary scenario where you have to do one or the other. And profit taking is something that we always encourage our clients to do, especially when an asset has increased and appreciated quite quickly. It's always really important to potentially take some profits as it's going up. Because as you mentioned at the start, been in the crypto space since 2017. So I've been through many round trips of my portfolio personally, and it is hard sometimes to be in the mindset of actually taking profits. But that's where having an exit strategy is really valuable. At least having something written down that you try and tie yourself to. Whether you actually do that at the end of the day is another thing altogether, right? But at least sitting down and thinking through, okay, if XRP, for example, hits $4, how much of my portfolio should I then potentially sell out of? How much have I earned in terms of profits at that scenario? And then if it doesn't hit $4 and it starts to go the other way, what are the stop limits that I put in place to ensure that I still take profits, even if the asset depreciates over time? It's really important to do that. And as Jake mentioned, that's something that we're really emphasizing for our clients as a business.
All right, I got 2 questions and we'll call it a day, Jim. So what was your biggest mistake in crypto?
My biggest mistake, there's probably been a few just through the learning experiences of getting involved with it. I think my biggest mistake was yield chasing, especially back in, I think it was 2022, where we saw the collapse, as I mentioned before, of Celsius and BlockFi. They were two that, and even Terra Luna back in the day, where I was quite drawn to the really high yields of 15%, 20% in your crypto assets. And I was quite fortunate that I was quick enough to get my assets off those platforms. So I didn't lose a ton of money compared to others in the space. But I think that's a really big mistake, is if something seems too good to be true, especially in the crypto space, it probably is. And so I learned a lot in that lesson in terms of if someone's offering you 20% yield, they're probably doing something in the back end, or there's probably some shading activity going on. So that was I guess a big mistake, but it's also just a big learning experience, right? For everyone on this call, I'm sure we've all been in that scenario where we're either bought into an asset without doing our research and then it goes down, or something bad happens where we weren't safe with our assets or what have you. You try and treat every mistake as a learning experience, and I certainly learned my lesson there. But I'd probably say that one was probably my biggest mistake for sure.
Got it. And one final one. I do want to ask you more about Accenture, but maybe I'll have you on in the future. Final question. What advice would you give to somebody who is new to crypto in this cycle?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's a few things. I think the first thing I would say is do your research and start from the bottom up. So I would start with reading the Bitcoin white paper, reading the Ethereum white paper, because that's really where this whole crypto industry started. It's really hard to get started today just because there's so many coins in this space. There's so many projects and protocols, which is great because there's a lot of innovation, but it can almost get you can almost get lost with how many assets there are out there and become overwhelming. So I would personally just start with getting a really strong understanding of, okay, this industry started back in the early 2000, mid 2000s, actually understanding, okay, where did this crypto industry start from? What was the technology that built out what it is today? And then the other thing as well is, I think time in the market is always a lot more important than time in the market. I know that's a very famous saying within the share market space, but it's also really important for crypto. You're never going to time the top. You're never going to time the bottom. As much as our brokers speak about it daily in terms of when the top may be for this cycle, you're never going to do it. But it's always really important to get your feet wet and get started in the crypto space. And I'd certainly do that through starting with the majors and understanding what they do. Whether you invest in them or not is a completely different thing. But I think actually just getting your feet wet and investing in whatever asset that resonates with you is really important to be a part of the space.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for the questions. Jim, it was great to have you on. For the YouTube recording, I will throw the details of the XRP promotion in the video description for anybody curious. And thank you so much. Looking forward to have you on in the future.
Thanks for having me. Thanks all.
Take care.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.
If you enjoyed this video, be sure to smash the like button and let me know your thoughts down below. You can find all links to my crypto resources, including tools for charting, trading bots, wallets, portfolio trackers, and exclusive discounts right in my link tree in the video description. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.